you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forged Lands Forever. Today, I have a 6v6 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxis map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. But before I do that, I have a very, very, very special thing to announce to each and every single one of you. I have with me today a fellow YouTuber and caster of Forged Lands Forever, the Duelist, the scientist himself.
Yeah, everybody introduces me like that. Like, I'm not a scientist or anything. Like, I'm in cybersecurity, bro. I'm not mixing chemicals or anything in a lab. But
okay,
yeah.
well, I'm assuming you had to study some sort of computer science or something to, like, do that career.
I mean, kind of. But I really appreciate you having me on the channel. You know, I'm really excited to be flying kind of, you know, as the co-pilot here on this cast. I love doing co-casts. So, yeah, really excited to get into this game. And, yeah, let's hit it.
And we'll start with Team 1 here up in the northeast, and we'll end with Team 2 in the southeast and northwest. Starting off with Team 1's Imperial Grey player. He is I Make War on You. He is an Aeon for this match, and he is a 2100. He is not only the highest rated player on his team, he is also the highest rated player overall. To his west, we have in lightish red, pink, the Squealer. He is a Cybran for this match as an 1100. And to his northwest, or west, I should say, we have in Batman Gray, the Air Guard player. It is Solid Snake. He is a 1500 as a UEF. To his south, we have in Light Oak Tan, another UEF here. It is Rick. Maybe we'll see Morty. Maybe we won't. He is a 1300. And to his east, in Cherry Crimson, on the front line, we have Yoji as a Seraphim as a 2000 rated. And last but not least, there for Team 1 in Ruby Red, we have the Aeon player of Chicken Pachisis? Whatever. His name is Chicken. I call him Chicken. I'm not going to try to say the last part of his name. He is an Aeon. He is a 1600. So for Team 1 side of the map, we have 2 UEF, 2 Aeon, 1 Seraphim, and 1 Cybran. They have all of the factions represented on their side of the map. And starting off over here, let's kick it over to the Duelist to introduce Team 2.
All right, cool. I'm not going to have as creative names for the colors. In a lovely white, we have Furfur, who has abandoned a second land factory, but he's going first land as the UEF. And then down towards the south, we have in orange JFK, who has obviously named himself after an airport and not a former United States president. But he's going Cybran, opening first land in... You know, we talked about this on our cast, but maybe he's the eco player, supporting air player, just kind of fill in the gap kind of player, I guess. And then to the west, in a lovely purple, we have Blissful Noob going as Seraphim, opening first and second land, it would look like. Got himself a lot of power generators going there as well. Down in the rear guard air position in yellow, we have, where's the commander? There he is. Way she goes. And away she is going out towards the middle, but they're going UEF, opening first land in the rear air guard air position. In blue, we now have Artifacts going Cybran, opening first land on his way to the middle as well. And last but not least, in a, we'll see if I can get colorful here, in a lovely rusted copper. Well, actually, copper doesn't even rust, so I've already failed. But we have Colonel Kenny Lee, who's going UEF, opening first land, who is already upgrading to Tech 2 on that land factory. So 3 minutes in, 4 minutes in, that's very ambitious. But yeah, we'll see how this ends up shaking out. A lot of heavy hitters in this game.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of repeats from the video that we just finished recording like 5 or 10 minutes ago. So we'll see if anything shakes up between these two sets of teams. And the best thing, of course, in FAF to look at is the reclaim count, and currently we have almost 12,000 mass, so about 1,000 mass per player to scoop up. Definitely not as much as I've seen in games, but it's, you know, a nice little healthy amount. And in terms of mexes, I mean, yeah, there's a decent amount of, you know, quad mex positions and tri-mex positions, and some mexes in the middle, which I like to see. There are some Necroxis map generated maps where there's just like nothing in the middle, so no players fight over any mass. It's just kind of we sit in our own bases and eco, and then maybe throw stuff at one another. It's not as entertaining as or gripping as is this kind of fighting over resources.
Yeah, very true. And for those middle mexes, a mass extractor needs to stay alive for about 30 to 45 seconds, I believe, to be profitable at all. So, I would expect to see those middle mexes changing hands probably quite a few times. Maybe not being upgraded until later, whenever players get fire bases and their lines relatively solidified.
Yeah, and it does look like pretty much everybody, including the Rigard Airsoft player of Team 2 for Way She Goes, is actually moving to the middle, which is very nice to see, getting all of that comm firepower on the front lines. It's nice to have about 20 or so worth of T1 tank firepower and HP, especially when we're getting into this cluster of units and comms down here where we have 4 of them essentially for the same lane right here, facing off against Chicken. And we can kind of count Yoji in that mix, so it's a 4v2 scenario. If Team 2 were to push all the way in, at least one of those players are going to die. Like, there's no hope of getting out of there alive. At least most likely for Chicken if he does continue to this southward trajectory.
Yeah, if these guys are on comms, then most likely what they're going to do is some kind of like team upgrade where one player gets gun, everybody assists, the next player gets gun, and then they're just going to like Rambo rush somebody and put them in a proper gangbang situation there in the southern side of the map. Because high concentration of comms on the lower side of the map, and you can actually see in the northwest that Solid Snake actually didn't even bring his comm out of his base, so there's already a mismatch on the front lines just as far as overall comm count.
Yeah, and some players have their different flavors of, I want to sit in my base and eco or manage my, in this case, my air grid a lot more. Or some players just want to push hard, take as much as they can from the map, and then kind of slowly retreat. Because eventually the front lines, those fire bases, those mexes are going to die. It is not... I have rarely seen where maybe, take Blissful Nuke, for example. He keeps this position the entire game. It never goes down. I rarely ever see that. He has actually started a gun upgrade. I think he's the first one to start one, actually, right now.
Yep, first one. Going for the gun upgrade. They're in the front. Actually switching out for... or no, he's not switching out, my bad. But, first one going for that gun upgrade. They're in the front lines. I always think, like, idealistically, it would be great if I was an air player and could walk my comm forward to the front lines and help my team. But realistically, I usually forget that my comm is there. So for Solid Snake, if he's like, I know that I'm going to forget my comm exists and I'm going to be better for my team if I just sit in my base and like eco and then let everybody else slug it out on the front line, that's probably best, because I just commit suicide if I'm the air player because I forget my comm is out there and everybody pulls back around me and I'm just like left there hanging out on my own.
Yeah, because by the time the game is like, hey, your comm's under attack. Hey, your comm's under attack. It's already too late. You're dead. You're not going anywhere. So.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm surrounded by 50 T1 tanks and 30 artillery and 7 gun comms attacking me at the same time.
Oh, it's lovely. It's great when that happens. We do see that there is an attack brewing, comm-on-comm action between, at least in the northeast, between Amikwarnu and Furfur. Furfur tries to build a nice little T1 PD and gets denied. But he is facing off against essentially the same upgraded commander. It's an Aeon with the speed / range, and then Furfur with the gun damage and range. So a little bit more firepower per shot, but not as much in terms of the fire rate, in terms of the Aeon, where they're known for their fire rate and known for their long range. We do see that nearby Squealer's also going for a gun commander as well. So we could see a reversal here where Team Choose Furfur actually gets overrun, but looks like Squealer's going to go for not Nano, but Stealth, possibly Nano first. So he's going to get a little bit more work probably out of that comm, but I would not be surprised to see somebody kind of just randomly explode here in about 5 minutes, because there's a lot of comms here, and one of them is going to get overrun at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love the UEF comm matchup, though, against the Aeon, because with that Zephamp upgrade, you can one-tap the Aeon light tanks. Mm-hmm. So I personally love that matchup. And I think it favors the UEF in that side because the commander can just one-shot those tanks. It's very efficient.
Oh, yeah, and you got to be as efficient as much as possible. You don't want to overkill or over-damage units. You just want to do as much damage as you need to, because that's damage that can go into a different unit. That's damage that can go into a different comm. You just got to be careful, though, because if Amikwarnu does go for that advanced range, and you're in range, that's it. Goodbye. You're not getting anywhere. You're not getting out of dodge. You can't fire back. If you're trying to retreat, there's no hope for you. So just concede and pray that maybe somebody will come save you, but that hardly ever happens. It does look like in the south, though, we have a small little incursion here from Chicken. Chicken being decently aggressive, though. He is, again, facing two commanders, and he's trying to keep Team 2's comms in their base, or at least their front line, as long as possible. I did notice that Colonel Kenny Lee did go for the missile, and I have casted him a few times, and he loves going for his Billy Nuke, so I would not be surprised to see that materialize here in probably the next maybe 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, and for Kenny Lee, I was dogging on him for going for that Tech 2 upgrade so quickly, but you know, his opponent, Chicken, has not really pushed him at all, and so he's already got some pillars out on the field. He's got tactical missile on his comm. Like, he's feeling pretty happy right now, I think.
Oh yeah, and we do see, of course, that the first missile is now outbound. Of course, the Aeon have the best TMD in the game, and they can deal with multiple missiles at a time. And there already is a TMD built for that mech that that Colonel Kenny Lee fired at. So unfortunately, the missile goes nowhere, and was just a waste of mass in that terms. But it will keep, if Team 1's Chicken is paying attention, on his toes about, okay, he has a missile, I have to be aware of building more TMD, because if I don't, I'm going to lose other stuff.
I mean, he had to have scouted it out. Like, I would have lost half of my Nexus before I noticed that there were tactical missiles firing at me. So good heads-up play there for Chicken, making sure that his base stays alive.
And we do see a tiny little drop happen, actually, from Colonel Kenny Lee. He gets and kills off a Max. Doesn't probably get as much damage done as he would like. There's just so many blazes in this base now that those are going to be sent to the front lines, and he's going to be aware of those, but he doesn't really have anything to stop those blazes if they do come inbound. I mean, he's kind of like the weak link, I'd say, on the southwest section of the map, just because the other two, like the middle and the northeast, are very much solid. I mean, there's fighting and skirmishes going on, but I can easily just see a walk down of at least one of those two players very easily.
Chicken has no intel, though, on what is going on, so I don't think he realizes how weak Colonel is actually right now. So it might be, a situation where, yeah, he could steamroll him right now, but because he doesn't know that he could steamroll him, he won't.
And that is true. That is the one of, if not the most important things about any strategy game, or specifically this one, is that you got to know what your opponent's doing, or just know the map, because if you don't know what's going on, you can't prep for it. You can't prep for it. You're going to get caught with your pants down, and not good things happen when you get caught with your pants down. So you just got to be always aware, and that is one thing I see a lot of high-rated players do, is they just build T1 radars. They do not stop. I mean, just in this one area alone, we have near Blissful Noob and Artifacts, there are 4 T1 radars, just because why not? I mean, they don't cost a lot of energy to run. They provide kind of like a nice little early warning system, and it's just nice to have.
Yeah, and they're super easy to kill, so having that kind of redundancy is quite helpful, because I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've had a gun comm and somebody knocked out my radar, and then my gun comm is just like sitting there with twiddling his thumbs trying to figure out what he is what he's actually trying to shoot at, whenever I'm like, I know that there are enemy units out there because one of my allies is sending scouts out. I'm definitely not sending scouts out because I'm a bad player, but somebody is sending scouts out. I know that they're out there, but I can't see them, and then I forget about radar, and then I die, and I'm sad.
Yeah, well, you're definitely a better player than me. I haven't even crossed the 4-digit range yet. But we do see that there are multiple incursions going on here for both sides of the map. Team 2 pushing down with, or I should say up with Blissful Noob, and then Team 1 pushing down on the eastern side here against Furfur. Furfur is doing fine. Same thing here with Yoji, and we do see some reinforcements arriving from Chicken. He's using those units that he could have used against Colonel Kenny Lee, and he sent them to help his teammate, which is also a good move, because the last thing you want is to be surrounded and then it's completely wiped out. But we do see that for that comm of Chicken, he did go for the sensor package upgrade, so it gives him a ton of vision, especially on a map like this. Yeah, it's not a 20 by 20, but I mean, a huge just like I know what's around me vision is a lot better than just the tiny little circle you get from starting out.
Probably an underrated upgrade, to be sure. It's not one that you see super often. Like you see a lot of people going for like gun nano now, which I was surprised, like whenever I came back, how many people were actually just, not Rambo rushing with whenever they got gun, they like sit back and get a bunch of other upgrades as well. Which was I thought really interesting. It's fun to see how the game has evolved since, because I've been playing it for 4 or 5 years now, and it's fun to see how the game has evolved just as far as meta goes, where certain things are strong, other things are weak, and then it changes all over again, and then the balance team decides that they don't like Cybran again, and then I'm sad, and yeah, great.
Yeah, as long as they leave the UEF alone, I'm perfectly fine with any sort of other nerfs or buffs that they do to other factions. Yeah, definitely the sensor package is obviously unique to the Aeon, so they're the only ones that they get two like really good intel. They get the eye and they get a personal essentially eye around them. And the Seraphim get nothing. I mean, I know they get like the Air Scout kind of radar a little bit, or the vision when they die, but that's it. The Seraphim get screwed when it comes to like or any sort of intelligence like structures or units.
Well, I think they bank on their superior technology.
That's fair.
If you nuke an entire planet, that's all you got to do. Or if you just have a rift that opens up with a bajillion different ass washers coming through, then you don't really care about intel at that point.
Yeah, I just finished and released that playthrough of the Cybran mission 6 for the campaign, and all I'm thinking in the back of my head is, right after this, that's when the rift opens up. That's when all those bombers come out, and yeah, it's a terrifying sight to just see 200 of those things just kind of warp out of a portal, and you're like, well, there goes Earth. Earth is gone now. There's no hope of that coming back anytime soon. I also find it interesting that the original devs of the game went with the Cybran faction campaign. What's the word for it? See, this is what happens when I cast games. My brain goes blank. Not lore, but the canon is that they went with them. Because to be fair, as the UEF, they blow up everyone else, so you can't really have another section of the game after that.
Yeah, I don't know as much about the lore of the game. It's something I need to learn a little bit more about.
Yeah, I was. I just was. One commenter was like, "Hey, you should do the campaigns for the Supreme Commander." I'm like, that's a good idea, because I was doing the Road to 1,000 videos, and it's been a long time since I played, and I was like, that'd be a really good way to learn the game and learn the units and stuff. So I just started doing those and kind of got in just a little rabbit hole of, okay, this is how the lore works, and this is what this is, and this is why these people are doing this thing, and I kind of get, that's how I am with Star Wars. Like, that is me. Like, I'm in the lore, I am in the books, I'm in the audiobooks, I'm in the video game, all that. I love it.
I'm like that with both Star Wars and Halo.
Oh, Halo's so
super into the lore.
Except the new stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the new stuff for Halo.
Dude, everything after Halo 3 is, actually Halo Reach is garbage.
Yeah, it's not great. 4 wasn't bad, but it was the tipping point for just a way downward. Like, I haven't even watched the show. Like, I'm not even going to touch the show.
Yeah, save yourself 8 hours. It's not worth it.
Well, didn't they have a season 2 or something?
Yeah, I haven't seen season 2. Season 1 was like not great. It was okay, but
that's what I heard. I mean, the fact that they said Chief takes his helmet off a lot was like, no, that's not Halo. I'm sorry, I do not care.
I didn't have as much of a problem with that. It was, for me, it was other things that, I just feel like it just felt very out of place. But
yeah. I can kind of think of a few things off the top of my head that I've heard that I'm like, that doesn't need to be in Halo at all. Especially with the side effects that Chief had on being, not tortured, but essentially experimented on for like a long time. Like, some of the side effects, not good things for his health.
Well, it goes really into his like psyche, and I kind of appreciated that a little bit more. And for that one, like taking his helmet off and stuff like that, like I get it. because they wanted to go more into like what the augmentations, like what kind of effect it had on him as like a person, which I can understand a little bit more. But yeah, they were, yeah, it was just, it was okay. It wasn't great. I mean, it was not what I think everybody was expecting, like the Halo 2 remastered cutscenes, just in like, you know,
Live
TV
action.
show form,
Yeah.
and it was not that.
Yeah, but I do think my favorite line or scene, I'd say, from the newer Halo is Lasky and Chief sitting on, I think it's whatever ship, the Infinity, and he's talking about like Cortana just, you know, sacrificed herself, and he was commenting like she used to say that about being a machine. I thought that was so, like, it really goes to show like Chief is just, he is a machine, and she was the human. Like she was the personality, she was the person, and he was just the skin suit essentially, which I thought was a really cool, like, I mean, and they talked about that in the show. Like I feel like that's a cool, compelling element, but they didn't go down that route with Halo 5 and 6, and yeah. Anyway, anyway, as we go on to talk about Halo for like, you know, however long we can continue to talk about Halo about, we do see that some upgrades have been done, but not really a lot has happened in terms of no one's died before 20 minutes, which is kind of rare to see in FAF nowadays, because usually somebody dies because somebody does something stupid, or doesn't do something stupid and just gets overwhelmed.
It's a nice little run by with Tech 3 units happening from, out of, I think that's JFK or Colonel Kenny.
That's Colonel Kenny, yeah. He's trying to get away and draw forces away from this little base here that was sent to initially by the Western players for Team 1. Unfortunately, he is encountering the Harbingers, which, and sniper bots as well, which in any situation, the Harbinger is a far superior unit to the Titan. Even me as a UEF stan will say that every day of the week.
Oh yeah, dude. Titans are great. Like they're really good to get off the line. Like they're a good, like, okay, I've hit Tech 3, I'm early to Tech 3, I'm gonna get 5 or 6 Titans off the line right now, and I'm just gonna roll whatever Tech 2 forces in front of me. But they don't have a whole lot of staying power unless you're using them for raids, because they are pretty quick, like just overall, and they can do some decent building damage. So really good at taking out like perimeter mexes if you're trying to outflank your opponent. But yeah, in a stand-up fight, they're not going to be able to square off against like Bricks or Percivals or even like Obsidians, like, you know, Tech 2 or Ilshavas or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a unit that they added in just to have a T3 unit, and then the expansion came out for Force Alliance, and then like, okay, we're going to give the UEF a really good T3 unit, and that was the Percy, and then that was it. T3, that's it. That's all you need. Just the T3 Percy, some AA, and maybe a couple of parashields, and you can just walk to the enemy base and not worry about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, the Titan doesn't really fit with the rest of the UEF, because I don't know, the UEF is very like, you know, we're gonna stand back a little bit and then hit you from further away, a la Fat Boy, even Percival to some extent, like Mongoose on T2. And then you got this random unit that's like kind of a quick moving unit in the Titan, that's like designed to circumvent and everything. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I know that other people really love them and swear by them. So, you know, you're the one that's going to get the hate in the comments, not me, because this is your video. So,
well, of course, and I have always been a UEF stan. Like, I will not say like, oh yeah, the Seraphim are the best, the Cybern are the best. But if I could like cherry pick a couple things from the Cyberns and cherry pick a couple things from the Seraphim, that would be great. But you know, we can't all have like a Phantom game where we just get hives. Everyone gets hives and then don't have to worry about it. I would love that, but that's not how the UEF operate. So we do see a nice little Megalith online though for artifacts. He skipped the monkey phase and went straight to the Megalith, and also got a nuke online as well. Very interesting. He did both of those pretty much at the same time.
Which is kind of unique, you know. Normally you don't see people, you know, skip monkey and then go for crabs. Usually, you know, you see people kind of progress down that line of thinking. But yeah, you know, in this case, you know, skipping monkey, going straight for crabs.
Yeah, I'm just surprised the fact that, I mean, he went for the nuke as well. I mean, usually you don't have enough mass to do both usually at the same time. Usually you go crab, and then you're like, oh, a nuke would be nice, and build a nuke or whatever he wants to build. But it is surprising that he does have that online. And still, no one has died. I mean, we have an experimental on the field. He did transfer it over to Blissful Noob, which I do love that. That is such an underrated thing to do. Is here's a bunch of units. You're in that lane. Your comm is right next to them. I'll just give them to you and not micro them myself, so I don't have to deal with it. There's hardly anybody that does that.
That was, Artifacts, one of the lower rated players on the team. So, he's doing, we were talking about this on my video, like, the only reason I'm as high rated as I am right now is, I'm just like, I'm going to touch the ball as little as possible, and I'm just going to build good units and then give them to other people that know how to use them.
I mean, I'm always of the opinion of, like, if somebody is smarter or better or faster, let them deal with it. I can go do some other nonsense and they don't have to worry about it. You can be more efficient rather than trying to, like, do everything.
I just assume that everybody is better, smarter, and faster than me. Like, I could have a 900 rated player on my team, and I'm like, here you go, here's a crab. Good luck.
Yeah, it's definitely, at least in my rating bracket, that's definitely me right to a T. Is just everybody's better than me, which is fine because I'm better at other games. So I'm perfectly fine not being the best at every single game I ever play ever.
Dude, if you're on the road to 1,000 right now, we could do a couple of, like, I'm really rusty because I don't play a ton anymore. But if you want to do a couple 1v1s, that might help. I don't know. Might help you to have somebody like to scrimmage against.
Yeah, that would be fun. Kind of like criticize, like, you could have done this better, or you could have done this. And I tried to do that with the series on the channel, but then I kind of got distracted, and then kind of didn't keep up with it. So. And it just was like with, work and videos, and like it kind of, that was one of those videos that was like, because you have to not only queue up, you have to wait for a match. If one happens, then you have to have one. Then you have to have a semi-decent one to be like, okay, that was cast worthy. And then, yeah, it's just very time consuming to like find a good game. But yeah, that'd be definitely something interested. I'd be willing to look at and try to at least better myself at, because I mean, I'm on my way to 500 casts, so I might as well try to play the game. It's to some degree of skill and competency. But there's like not really any big things happening in terms of these players. I mean, some players, we're talking about possibly 2,000 mass per second for Team 2, 1.9k mass for Team 1. Some players at 400, some players at almost 400, and I don't see any really big things. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of gunships running around, and yeah, players are being a little bit aggressive with their commanders, but there's no like big, let's just send 400 units forward and see what happens kind of thing. It very much kind of laid back kind of style of gameplay from pretty much everybody in this game.
Yeah, this one's definitely more of a slow burn. I'm thinking that the nuke out of Artifacts is that's gonna change a little bit of the dynamic here. Okay, there we go, got it. Gonna be able to change a little bit of the dynamic in the game. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but otherwise, air players are just amassing ASF. We've got a couple of other experimentals, but I don't think anybody really wants to commit to like a huge big push right now. We do have another nuke launcher out of Rick right now in the back line, Stonager right there. So everybody's going for maybe a little bit more standoff tactics.
Yeah, well, it also is kind of it's adding to that the theory of the hypothesis for this game when you have the player who built a nuke and a crap at the same time starting a Scathus before 30 minutes. I mean, yeah, he's not putting a lot of engineers on it, but it's still there. And we do see an explosion in the east. Furfur just dips out and says, see ya bye. He was getting overrun by I Make War on You and just didn't want to keep it up. I guess he was just kind of fed up with fighting and just kind of just said, no, I'm good, see ya bye. I mean, he was facing a Colossus, to be fair, but I mean, I'm of the opinion of you stick it out till you die kind of thing. So, I don't know, some players are different.
Kind of depends. I don't know. For him, you know, there's probably a good amount of pride because he's a 1700 rated player, and so he's like, I'm not going to ask for help, and then he's like, oh, I need help. That he's like, I'm not going to ask for it though.
Yeah, and then we had Blissful Noob just moments later, Control K as well, and he's essentially saying, I'm not playing this if you're not stop building that arty. Essentially saying, I don't like the way you are playing, so I'm going to quit playing. I don't like that. It's like, I get it, you don't like the move that some other player is doing on your team, but you're playing with 6 people. It's kind of hard to really quote-unquote control everybody. We do have a nuke launch from Team 1, though, and I'm assuming that's going for one of those open bases on Team 2. Looks like it might be going for the frontline base that I said in the beginning may or may not fall, but looks like it is going to fall. Artifacts is kind of nearby. He should be out of range, but ooh, it's going to be close. Oh, that was very, very close there. He was singed, but he's not dead, so that is better than nothing.
Oh, you didn't say the thing, man.
Oh, sorry.
You didn't say the thing.
Kaboom! Yeah, I know.
There you go.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to have somebody be like, hey, you forgot something.
It's like your trademark.
It is honestly my trademark. I mean, it's nice that the game says my name most of the time during games, so you know, I just constantly inundated with the strategic launch. And there have been some games where just the announcer cannot keep up because nukes are being launched so many times at once. I love it. But we do see that Chicken is just punching Colonel in the face. I mean, you have a guy who has chicken fighting a chicken.
Be right up to the north. Check out these gunships, though.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, right here. Oh. Well,
that's what I'm more concerned with.
Yeah, so he escaped the nuke, but he did not escape the gunships. Yeah, that was kind of rough. So Team 2 has lost 3 players within the span of maybe 5 minutes or so. I mean, those gunships are going after Colonel Kenny Lee. Oh, he's dropping. He's in the red. Ooh, sub 2k hit points. That was close. He was pretty quick to respond with way she goes as ASFs too, but that could have been a double kill. And that could have been game probably right there. I think the APM would have been too much for Team 2 to bear.
Yeah, and then you got Chicken trying to airlift himself out with the transport right now because he's under Fat Boy fire.
Yeah, that's not going to go well. If that transport stays just a little bit too long, that thing is dead. Oh, there he goes! Oh! See, he stayed there too long. And there he went. Ooh.
Yeah, a little too long.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've realized, casting games, is that there are certain air units that can be considered as ground units, like transports, when they're in that mode. They're in that kind of, they are in the air, but they're not, which is very weird. I don't know.
It's so dangerous anytime you put your comm in a transport.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because your comm explodes, not that, you could survive being teleported across the galaxy or anything, and a small little fall kills you.
Hey, they're fragile. They're delicate, okay?
Well, who's ever crazy enough to have essentially a nuke strapped to themselves is nuts, and then the UEF are like, oh, I'll do you one better. I'll strap a smaller nuke on my back and then fire it. Because why not?
The UEF are just the reenacting Pacific Rim, man.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. We do see the counter gunships here for the East for Way She Goes take out the first player on Team 1. Well, actually, sorry, second. That would be I Make War on You. So we've had almost the entire upper echelon of the game knocked out. I mean, there's still Colonel Kenny Lee at 1800 and Yoji at 2k, but everybody else is 1600 and below. So players are taking out the command staff very effectively. You target the highest rated players and you work your way down for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's You know, 5 minutes ago you were like, "Oh, this game's like really quiet. Nobody's died," and then bam, like 6 players or 5 players out in 3 minutes.
Yep. It is just the way that it happens. And that nuke, it was the wrong nuke launcher, but it was definitely the nuke that kind of set the tone of like essentially. Well, again, to be fair, Team 2 did lose a player before that, but it just threw everything into chaos, which is that's what I love to cast chaos, because I'm chaotic to cast in terms of like casting and probably to cast, but who cares about a boring game when you can have 30 nukes and 3 game enders firing at one another?
That is true. And I mean, with a name like Strategic Launch, I can't think of a more chaotic thing than launching a nuclear weapon at somebody.
Well,
that's a pretty chaotic thing there.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they did get rid of all the radiation issues, so you can easily just walk on in and rebuild everything. You don't have to worry about any of those like nasty little, uranium or whatever other plutonium, whatever they use for the cores, which is very nice. But some people, they want to see the world burn, and that is one way to burn the world, is with the giant fireball, or in some case plasma ball. I don't know. Some of the factions in this game, I mean, they have higher technology, whatever nonsense. So you would probably know more than me about how that all works and whatnot.
Again, you called me the scientist, but I'm not like. I mean, I do think it's funny though that like the Cybran nuclear weapon is almost like a black hole singularity, almost esque kind of thing, and the UEF is like basically they took a JPEG of Hiroshima or Nagasaki or Tsar Bomba or something like that, and we're like, yep, that looks good, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, the UEF are technically like the Terrans. They're the humans. They're like the Earthlings. Very, the architecture hasn't changed. The mentality hasn't changed. It's just, we kill everything, so we have no problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're a history guy. We talked about this last time, but the Summit is literally just a modernized version of the Mighty Mo.
Yeah, no joke. Just kill everything. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But we do see that the Scathus is now done, and it's because Colonel Kenny Leo, he has, 4 bases. No, 3 bases. That's orange. He has 3 bases, tons of mass to his disposal. Needs to get more shielding. It drives me nuts that you can build a game ender or an arty or a nuke, and you don't have a single shield surrounding it or protecting it. It drives me insane. You're going to spend upwards of 200,000 mass and not protect it at all. So, it's my
yeah,
word.
well, I mean, I for one am really excited to see what insane strategic launch looks like. So hopefully he doesn't build shields, and then we just continue descending into the depths of insanity.
Yes, there have definitely been some games where I'm like, why is this happening? I mean, again, who am I as like some 500, 400 rated player to criticize a 18, 2000 rated player? But like, shields exists. They are there for a reason. Please use them. I mean, there's whole like adjacency bonuses with PGens and all kinds of stuff that you can do to make it cheaper. So use it. Detected. And another one is launched. Another nuke is launched, and it's inbound for. Looks like that's Chicken's old base that does have an SMD. It is not loaded, so that's going to land. But it's not that mission critical. He's kind of graduated or kind of taken over. Looks like actually that's not Chicken. Sorry, that's Yoji. Excuse me. They were both red, so I get confused from time to time. And then counter nukes get launched. But just look at Solid Snake's air grid. That doesn't exist anymore. Pretty much, it's not feeling too good up there for him. He does.
No, it's definitely not a. It's not a solid anymore. It is definitely, liquid or pulverized.
Yeah, he does have his own nuke. Oh, of course. Kaboom! That base is gone. What is worrying me, though, is that Team 1 has multiple T3 artilleries online. They have a nice little Hubatham and a Duke. They have a Disruptor being built. Maybe we'll see the Emissary, and we'll see all 4 of them built in one game. Very rare do we see all 4 different types of artillery built, at least the T3 variety, in a game.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, I don't think I've ever seen all 4 in a game. Like, I've seen somebody have 4 Tech 3 artillery, but I've never seen all 4 faction artillery in one game before, I don't think.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, if you have the emissary, why would you use anything else?
The emissary is dog shit.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I will die on this hill.
I mean, I have seen, I don't
Here,
know.
I'm pulling the scientist card. I'm pulling the scientist card right here.
I mean, the emissary is the only one that I mean, I know it's very small, but that like secondary pulse that it sends out, I have seen that kill so much stuff. Just that like secondary like damage that it does.
Yeah, but you need 2 of them to like overwhelm shields.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. I know the shots are weaker individually because of that. I get that.
Well, the fire rate's so slow. Like the shields almost regen fully.
Yeah, I know. But again, I'm the Mavor guy. I'm the like, you build big thing and you kill big thing or other big thing very quickly, and the Mavor does that. And the emissary can try to do that. But
yeah, but dude, if I soak a roll of toilet paper in water, it doesn't make it any, or it doesn't make it hurt any better. Like, yeah, that's a lot of toilet paper, but it's still toilet paper.
It's fair. That is fair. Well, I will give the whole like the Aeon shields are not great, and you will not tell me differently that they suck, because they suck, and I will try to not use them as much as I can.
I still think that the Cybern are the worst because they've got like such a weird upgrade system. Like even at Tech 3, you don't really build like the best shields.
Yeah, which that is the one thing I find weird, that you build the T3 shield, but you still have to upgrade it to get the best shield. Very strange to me. I do like the mechanic of like you can build T2 shields very quickly and then upgrade them, and a nice feature is that when you upgrade them, the shield capacity refills immediately if you have power for it. So you can actually like regen a shield very quickly by just upgrading it from T2 to T3, whatever the number is for the upgrade.
That is very true. Dude, did gunships get a buff recently that I'm just like not aware of? Because I haven't seen this many. We saw a shitload of gunships in the game that you and I casted like 30 minutes ago as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but you're not the only one that has noticed that, because a lot of the games I've casted recently, I have just seen hordes of gunships. And even like games that I like preview and stuff. I don't know. I don't pay attention to the patch notes. That's probably something that I should probably pay attention to as somebody that casts this game enough, but I forget. And that's one of
I gave you wide open. You were like, yeah, I read the patch notes. They changed this, and this. And everybody would have believed you. I would have believed you.
Oh, no, I bet they would have, but I'm like, nah, I'm not going to say that, because that's not, I don't, who reads? Who reads anymore? I listen to audiobooks. I don't have time to read.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. I try to listen to stuff like while I'm like doing dishes or something. Like reading, you have to like sit down and commit. Like reading is all you're doing at that point. If you're doing like audiobooks or podcasts, like I'll just listen to YouTube videos as well.
Yep.
Like you can do other things at the same time.
Yeah, it's great. Especially like those like high production audiobooks. Like Star Wars is a good example of like they have sound effects. Most of the time they have really good voices, or the person doing the voice actually does voices.
Strategic launch
and
detected.
Like it makes it like you're watching a movie without the actual watching part. But I mean, I just finished the second Mistborn book, and those books are long. By Brandon Sanderson, they're good.
Scath is down. I just had to mention that. Or no, it's not down. It's moving.
The gun is down because it's being shot at because he didn't build enough shields to protect the thing in the first place. I mean, he is running out of power, it looks like, because multiple pigeons have come offline. And his bar is not great. He's getting a lot of overflow from his teammates just to pay the bills. But, I mean, his air player for Team 2 is taking a couple of hits, so it's not terrible. But a nuke lands and takes out everything. That's probably why it moved, was the SMD went down. So he's like, I got to move it or I'm going to lose it. But I don't think it's going to survive much longer with no shields. So, I don't know. You can always reclaim it.
It's out in the open. I think that T3 already is starting to target it as well.
Yeah.
Those shells are landing very close.
I would not be surprised if they can't see it, which they can. There's no stealth field generator around it, so they have the radar signature still.
Launch detected.
And another nuke's going to launch, and an SMD was rebuilt, and it's not going to load in time, so that thing is dead. At this point, I would just retask the arty onto something else. Like, there's no point shooting at something that you know that's going to die by a nuke. No point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but we do see gunships for Team 2, so while Team 2 is losing a lot of stuff in the back line, Team 1's about to lose some stuff with, again, another horde of gunships.
Yeah, dude, these gunships. I mean, these aren't even the restorers. Like, maybe I thought it was like just restorers, but like we're seeing broadswords go to work here.
All right. Well, I mean, the broadsword's always been the best gunship, anyways. So
they are solid. Yeah, they are quite good.
Yeah, that's the one thing the Seraphim don't have is gunships.
The Seraphim do not have gunships.
Yeah. I mean, they have T2, but yeah.
I don't know how the broadswords stack up against the whalers, though. It's probably something I could look at.
What I've noticed from casting is they're like the jack of all trades.
Off though. Yoji's commander very exposed right now on that gunship swarm. Like he's
right
shields,
here. Yeah, I mean he's. I mean if like you said, Weishi goes notices, he's dead. He has 21,000 hit points. He's close to the shield, but not all the gunships are firing. So it looks like Yoji's just gonna die to the gunships and try to kill as many as he can, which he does do. But I think Solid Snake's going to be fine. He has enough shield and AA coverage. He'll be fine. There's no real concern for trying to target that player. But no, like the Whaler is like, again, the jack of all trades of two trades, being air and ground. I mean, they're good. They're pretty decent for both, but they don't excel at either. So it's one of those, like, yeah, the Restorer would beat it in a head-to-head fight in air, and yeah, the Broadsword would kill the thing on the ground faster. But again, the Whaler is still a good gunship. So they're not the Bug by any means. They're better than the Bug, in my opinion, which is clearly on display in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I don't think that the Bug is, like, that great. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe I'm the only one.
No,
I just don't think that the Soul Ripper is that great.
No, it's trash. Like, I personally, I don't like it. It's fat. It's slow. I mean, yeah, it's kind of resistant a little bit to SAMs, but you run by some ASFs, it's gone anyways. Just like a donut, it's the same thing. You run the ASFs by it, and it's dead.
I'm also not a huge fan of, the Tsar, which, for a long time, funny story, like, I was watching, so Guile, I'm sure Guile got almost everybody into FAF because nobody knew FAF existed until Guile started casting.
Well, I mean, he's Guile. Like, literally on the website, it says he's Guile. That's it. Everybody knows Guile.
The way, with his British accent and everything, the way he says Tsar, it sounds like za to me. And so I always thought he was calling it, like, a pizza. So, like, yeah, get some za, bro.
Oh, and interesting.
So it was for a long time until I realized, like, oh, it's actually called a Tsar, and I'm just hearing it wrong because of the way his accent is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm an American, but, like, British accents are, like, very much more entertaining to listen to and, like, all that. Like, I feel like my American accent is just trash compared to any other English accent on the planet, so...
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, it's way sexier. Like, you got a British accent, like, in America. You're basically, like, you know... Trying to think of an analogy here. Bowling with bumpers up.
Pretty much, right?
That was the only analogy I could come up with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. It's a good analogy. I mean, it's not like you have a safety net, but it's like it's a lot easier. It's hard to miss. I mean, but look at the rain of artillery though coming out from Team 1. Like, this is oppressive at this point. I mean, I know Team 2 is trying to fight back with all of these Medusa and a couple of AA, lightning tanks and shields and stuff, but I mean, there's only so much they can do at this point. I mean, they'd have to have a significant land force, and they just don't have it.
Well, Team 1 has reached critical mass on artillery, because 4 Tech 3 artillery installations is quote-unquote critical mass, where if you target all 4 at one area, it becomes it becomes incredibly difficult to actually shield that area. It takes a lot of APM to actually micro, like, hives or kennels to be able to assist those shields. And, we talked about this in our cast where, the secret third resource is actions per minute. And so if you're forcing the enemy team to spend actions per minute just like microing shields to keep their bases up, then they're not spending those actions on attacking you with anything.
Yep. It is the unsung hero and villain of FAF is how fast can you do stuff. And that's true of every RTS. That's just, if you can do more stuff per minute, most of the time you will win. So it's just
That is true. Yeah.
I mean, all I can think of when I could just go back to like the StarCraft days where I heard of APM. That's like when I first heard of APM, like the acronym was from StarCraft, and just like there's some crazy people that play RTSs, specifically StarCraft. Like they're nuts. I cannot understand how fast they can do stuff and how. I mean, sometimes it's a script. I get it, but like, people's brains.
I think that's where a lot of us heard of APM was StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even like if you go and watch like T90 or some of the guys that play Age of Empires 2, like if you go look up like Viper or Hera or some of the Age of Empires 2 pros, like dude, they're flying around the map.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't even understand what they're doing 3/4 of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can barely manage one little city in the middle of winter for Frostpunk without the pause button to be like, okay, gotta calm down. What's going on? Okay, let me do this. Let me queue up some things. Let me hit play again, and then go back to it. Like I can barely do.
Dude, every time I turn around, I have half of my citizens gravely ill, and then they're amputated, and then they die. And
well, I mean, you always gotta implement the radical treatment, and then you gotta cut people's arms off and legs off. You just gotta do it because you just get an immediate boost, and it like you don't even have to worry about it. You get a boost, like to harvest the organs and stuff. You just get it. So it's just, I know it's very morbid to think about it in a game like this, but it's
like,
just
wow, this took a really dark turn.
But like game mechanically wise, it just like even if no one dies, you still get the 30% or whatever the buff is. Like it doesn't take into account if people die or not, which I always thought it did. But I watched some other guy play Frostpunk to like figure out how to do a couple different things for some scenarios, and he's like, yeah, you just research that or you put that into law and then you get the buff and that's it. I'm like, oh, that makes life easy.
Gotta look at that. I've been struggling on the last scenario of Frostpunk, the first one.
It is a pain once you get to like 2 settlements like outside of your main one that you can like easily trade with. It's not terrible, but you have to be very good about your food consumption and very good about your wood consumption, just because you don't really have a lot of wood. So
they deliver my kids, and I'm like, I wasn't ready for the kids yet. Like, you can deliver them later.
Yeah, I hate that when they're like, here's some more mouths to feed that don't do anything. But as much as the meme of you got to send the kids to the coal mine is, I will never do that. But that is the meme of, okay, kids, time to go to the coal mines. Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to the game, a couple of things that because I've been trying to think about how Team 2 like gets themselves out of this situation, and I think that they've kind of got at least Way She Goes has got the game plan here with mass strats.
Yeah.
Seeing a large grouping of strats, and I think that the last thing that they're going to try is maybe snipe a comm, get some of this artillery off the map, because like this is just a long term. Like, this is a pretty untenable position at this point for them. Like, they don't have air, they don't have ground, they're spamming Tech 1 artillery everywhere because it's the only thing that they can build because all their headquarters are taken out.
Yep. Yeah, and just to reiterate what you pointed out earlier with the whole 4 artillery critical mass thing, Team 1 is not coordinating their artillery. Had they done that already, the game would have been over. Because, I mean, you have the ones from a Squealer only targeting this like really weird mix of JFK and Way She Goes base. Then you have like 1 artillery, I think that's from Solid Snake, targeting the air grid or what's remaining of it, and maybe the SMDs. And then you got the other artillery for the Duke over there to the west, just throwing shots at whatever. So there's really no coordination. I know very rarely do players give all of their artillery to one player and then they micro it, which I feel like is the better solution and more efficient solution, but some people don't do that because it's they just don't do it.
Strats are on the move, though.
Yeah, I see them. They're moving in on the west side. They're going for the 2 or the possibly 2 Hovathams. I don't think that's enough. Seraphim shields are tough. They might crack the shields. I don't know. Well, they do crack the shields to take out one of the emitters, but they need another pass, and there's already ASFs on them, and they actually don't even turn around. They continue northward, going after just the mechs, because way she goes knows they're dead. Like, they needed probably another group of strats to go after that one set of artillery.
Yeah, and then down on the south, you've got in JFK's base. He's about to get hit.
Yeah, there it goes. Right on top of that Colossus that takes a hit. That's going to really help, unfortunately, for Team 2 if you're standing for Team 1. But the nuke did get taken out, which was nice. And I think it was still loaded. I think there was another nuke in that the silo. So one nuke was denied. But that Colossus has now found JFK, and JFK's not going anywhere. He's going to be assassinated. So
yeah, just call that GC Lee Harvey Oswald and end it right there.
No joke, right? Oh! The shields come back online, and more. He might be saved. He might be saved. The hive's coming into play a little bit, reclaiming a little bit more HP. He might not die here. Very surprising. Transport's coming in just for some damage, and yeah, he's dead. And the very funny thing, of course, is that if the Colossus dies by being reclaimed, or in the process of being reclaimed, it just stands up. It's hanging out. Doesn't crack.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. It's because for some reason, like, the death clone or the death animation doesn't trigger. Because I don't know why. It's just something that happens with the way that the game is programmed. Because I know for the longest time, not the Hovatham, but the Yothotha, the chickens, Iron Storm could be canceled if you started the reclaim fast enough, and then they just removed that because that's a little OP to be able to do that. But I miss those. Wild. I do miss those days of like watching a chicken die and be like, okay, is the Iron Storm gonna go off? Nope, it got reclaimed. Okay. Miss those days. That and Mercy Snipes. I miss Mercy Snipes. I'm one of those weird people that actually did like watching Mercy Snipes.
Dude, I kind of miss it too. That was like one of the only reasons I played Aeon. Like if I was in a custom game and randomed Aeon, I'd be like, okay, well, here we go. I'm going Mercy Snipe. And the group that I played with knew that like that was like if the duelist gets Aeon, like the duelist is Mercy Sniping.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing with the Fire Beetles, right? Where it's like it's such a good unit like to watch, but no one really uses them because you have to get the Fire Beetle to the unit or the structure you want to blow up, and they're very weak. And yeah, they have cloaking, but I mean, if you have Omni, that's it.
Exist.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Sounds so sad.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody at home watching or whatever, wherever you are. You thought about to pay respects for the Fire Beetle and the Mercies. But I mean, yeah, I do not see any way for Team 2 to come back from this. I know I've been watching this Maver be slowly built in the south, and yeah, it's in the green, but it'd be different, I think, if Colonel Kenny Lee, or in this case, I think it was Artifacts, if he went for the Mavor first and then the Scathus, because then you have such penetrating power with that Maver that shield micro is, like, that's all you're doing is microing shields.
Oh yeah, dude. That Mavor is penetrating all sorts of stuff.
Yup. I mean, they're overcompensating. Like, literally, I had like the text in the thumbnail for one of my videos is the UEF compensating for something? Because it is a huge artillery emplacement. Like, that, it is way bigger than it needs to be.
Oh yeah, very true. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you think about like ballistics and everything, because like the Mavor is supposed to have like what, an 80-kilometer range or something like that.
Oh, it's insane.
I don't know if you get into like firearms and stuff, but usually like longer range weapons will have significantly longer barrel lengths because that allows the powder to completely combust and throws the projectile a lot harder. So you'll have like an AR-15 with like a 12-inch barrel will hit like 2,500 feet per second, but if you extend that out to like 16 inches or 20 inches on the longer side, you can get upwards of like 3,000 out of like a 5.56 round. So it kind of makes sense from a ballistics perspective, but yes, it is a great meme at this point that I don't think will ever die.
No, and I will definitely be the one that keeps it alive, at least the best that I can. I don't know what it is, but for some reason that's just like it's just a good silhouette. It's just a good unit. The one, I know the Supreme Commander 2, the game that should not be talked about, or the name that should not be talked about. The only thing I found very entertaining in that game, because I played the campaign when it was back on Xbox, so you can imagine. I even played this on Xbox, so you can imagine how good of a quality it was, which it was not. It was instead of the Mavor, there was a cannon. You can actually fire units across the map.
Yeah, the Noah cannon.
Yeah. So I thought that was such a cool way to we can just circumvent the entire map and ambush somebody across the map, which I thought was such a good idea. But they're never going to implement that in this game, because then that's what everybody would use. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to traverse units across the map. Okay, there you go.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Balls just got busted there. That Mavor is
Yeah,
done.
I mean, I knew it was gone when A, there wasn't a lot of shielding. B, we've already talked about there's like so much artillery. And yeah, Colonel Kenny Lee, it was very close. But when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artillery pieces essentially firing on one target, good luck keeping that alive.
Yeah, brought that Mavor right to the edge and didn't let it finish.
No, that's edging is very dangerous.
I was like, maybe I shouldn't make this joke. I was like, I gotta make it.
Oh yeah, I am definitely one of those that I don't care.
You don't. Oh, okay.
I have no filter.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that statement.
Oh no,
we don't need to know anymore. We're good.
No, we're good. Yep. No, but I mean, yeah, there goes. I mean, we've seen JFK control K. We've seen Wei Shigo's control Ks. And that's essentially everybody except Colonel Kenny Lee. There goes the match. I mean, like we talked about, once the arties came into play, it was just a downhill spiral for Team 2. I mean, I don't know if you would have maybe an idea how Team 2 could have countered that. I mean, I know you talked about the strats that they tried to use, but do you have any ideas of how Team 2 could have come back from that?
So I think that what you said earlier about okay, if Colonel Kenny is going to go for an experimental artillery, I do think that going for the Mavor over the Scathis would have been probably significantly better. The Scathis is, if memory serves, significantly less expensive than the Mavor, but he was almost able to complete the Mavor, and whenever the Scathis was done, they weren't under a ton of pressure at that time from artillery, so he was trying to turn something around that I think was already in a pretty unwinnable situation. And I think if he had gone for the Mavor immediately, he could have shut down all of the artillery on Team 1 and ended the game right there.
Yeah, it does.
The Scathis is the one quote unquote game ender that I don't think is really a game ender. It's one of the only game enders that it's okay, this is actually not over. We can still kind of hold this together because its shots are so spread out.
Yeah, I feel like they should buff it a little bit, or at least in the sense of make the spread a little bit more narrower. I mean, because it's you're hitting the base with a watering can. The water comes out all the little holes. It goes over a wide area, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. So, and even if it does some damage, a couple of shields with a little bit of micro, that's it. I like you said, I feel like there was a chance that Team 2 could have come back, but it also doesn't help that you had a player or two just leave because they were unhappy with the game. That also doesn't help.
I mean, that irks me a little bit just because one of the players left and then was just constantly backseat driving the entire time. It's dude, if you're going to control K and leave, just get out.
Yeah, I'm always one of those that's yeah, I understand you don't like the game. That's fine. You can have your own opinion. But there's a difference between being toxic and being critical. There's two different things. I know Mav is a very good example of, like, I'm not trying to dog on Mav. I did have that one video that it kind of seemed like I was, but I really tried to not be. But it's kind of hard not to when, I mean, I know it's kind of a meme at this point with him in that regard. But I mean, I'd say 99.8% of the community is very well intentioned for the most part. So I don't know. We gotta love some salt because it makes our food taste better, but too salty makes it worse. But that's just my point of view.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm gonna dump salt all over my food, but I'm not drinking seawater.
No, absolutely not. And I'm very grateful the chance I had to cast this game with you. Thank you for extending the invitation to me to let the cat out of the bag at the very end of my video, at least, that you wanted to do this with me. I was so happy. I like ran around my house and was like very excited because like I'm never the one that would reach out because I'm like an introvert. I'm like, I'm going to do my own thing and whatever. But I was very grateful for the invitation and that we're able to like actually get the videos done and whatnot. So thank you. Do you want to shout anything out from your side?
Oh, hey man, like it's my pleasure. I'm very thankful that you had me. As far as like, being introverted, I would just say like ask the question. The worst thing that they're going to say is no, because I'm also introverted. And yeah, whenever I dropped that comment on your video, I was like, worst thing he's going to say is no. And that's perfectly fine. Like I can continue doing my own thing over here, but I really like co-casting. I think it's more fun and it's more engaging for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to shout out. I think that, I'm sure I'm going to assume you're going to link my channel in the description. So if you want to see some science
of course, because you obviously said it in your video, and I kind of have to do it if you do it. I don't have to, but I should. That is the proper, adequately thing to do. I think that's a word. Oh yeah, I'll link I'll link your channel down below. I'll link the video that we did earlier down below whenever it releases. I don't know when your release schedule is or whatever you'll schedule it for. Maybe we'll talk about that after this the recording's done. But again, thank you so much to every single person watching. I know sometimes I mean, I do it in my own videos by myself where I kind of go on random tangents. So hopefully everybody still enjoyed the coverage of the game, regardless of our random conversations about, weapons or Halo or whatever the case may be. So again, thank you everyone. Thank you the Duelist for coming here, for hanging out, for having a fun time here. And of course, I'll see all of you in the next one.